like, yeah, but we sound like assholes. It's like, yeah, but they like it. That's why they always post. It's like, look, Roxy fell asleep on set again.
Yeah, dude. The fact that I caught you slipping that one time in Shreveport, shooting en route when we were at the firehouse, and you were just like conked. Like it was like we were already like on martini, and you were just like you were gone. You were a goner. I was getting water or something, or like fetching something for Dino, and I just saw you just sawing logs, just like.
Look, when I am tired, I'm gonna get my.
I felt it too. I felt it. Like it was hot, and yeah, like I was tired. Like after lunch, that fucked me. Like I love Shreveport, but man, the weather and the amount of days you're shooting, and a lot of it's exterior. Fuck. Like
the fact that you can cut the air with a knife there, like you can
truly.
feel it in your chest. Like it's draining.
It is.
We were filming there for 4 days or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
God, those 4 days, like number one, that was an intense project in general. There was a lot going on, and then you add in the fact that it's so hot. We were dealing with downpours at certain points. So humid that someone slipped in the hallway because the ground got wet from humidity.
Who slipped in the hallway again? Oh, that was Diana. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Like
that was scary.
Yeah, and it was just the road. Literally, it had gotten so slick just from humidity and just the amount of people we had in there.
Yeah,
that was just so tiring. So, hell yes, I got to in when I could.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, dude, I definitely missed that time. I hope you come back when. Yeah,
planning.
You will. Yeah, I am too. I am too, and Kellie's excited as well. But she's like also like that's in the future, and I ain't worried about the future right now. I'm worried about right now because Mama got to make money.
Yeah, that's definitely like. I know I told Christine at one point, like, yeah, I'm going to go through the script. I'm going to start figuring out all the stuff. And then when I talked to her, she was like, yeah, we're going to push it. I was like, that's future Roxy's problem.
Yeah. Well, I'll put that on the back burner then. Great.
Like all the other projects that are now indefinitely postponed.
Are you, do you know if Horror Nights is going to be postponed this year too?
So what I know, and I do not have any inside information, I don't know anything special. It's still being planned right now. They're still starting to work on some stuff. I have one who works on the art department side of it. She is hired for it already.
Like building the mazes and stuff? Yeah.
Well,
cool.
No, if it does happen, it's going to be really, really scaled back. Like, I think last year there was like 9 mazes. There's no way.
The zombies have to wear face masks?
I mean, I do a few. Just like, once again, no inside information. This was just us speculating because none of us are hired on if it happens. And it's like, yeah, maybe if they do some more stuff with like the plexiglass to separate the actors from the people walking through the maze. If they just actually stay on top of the fact of like only letting so many people through at a time. Because that's the main way Horror Nights is. Like, it's one continuous line through the maze typically. And so, and you have someone that gets scared and then they run like 10 feet ahead.
The opposite, yeah. Or 10 steps ahead, yeah. That's very true.
Suddenly you don't have those buffers of like 6 feet between people. So it's, right now I know they're still planning on it. I'm waiting to hear if it actually does happen.
Gotcha.
Just because I know right now none of the theme parks in California have opened up.
Disneyland was supposed to open this month, but they're not anymore, right?
Yep, they indefinitely pushed it. Disney, I know, already canceled all of its fall events, like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, all the Halloween parades. They've already officially canceled those. So I have a feeling right now the logic is plan for like best case scenario of how they can do it and see how things shape out.
Gotcha.
Because
Well, I mean,
they're like, you know what, we've got this figured out. We can do this safely. Everything's starting to open. Great. But if they lose the time now of planning things, they kind of force themselves into a situation where they can't.
yeah. And that puts a burden on everyone else because everyone needs to start opening soon. Like a lot of these businesses are just going to fold up at any moment.
Oh, yeah.
No one is worried about Disney. Disney's fine. Disney's good. And by the way, Disney's going to make content and movies and shows till the day is long. So if they're not going to open their theme parks, yeah, they're hemorrhaging money not opening the theme parks, granted, but at the same time, are they really losing money? Are they?
I mean, right now they're not making money, but I wouldn't say they're really losing that much money.
Yeah, I mean, the stock market has went down by like a lot since the past 2 months, and that's a no-brainer. But our darling president here is not really doing much about it. So we'll see.
I read an article. Was it Sweden? Sweden, I don't think shut down like at all. I want to say it was them. It's one of those kinds of countries. They didn't shut down at all with the logic of, well, we're going to keep things going. We're going to keep the economy going. To hell with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
They've of course had like some of the highest death tolls and number of cases. Their economy has still gone down.
Really?
And it's kind of that thing where they're like using it as an example of like, sacrificing people for the economy is actually not going to do anything because enough people are still like choosing to not go places and not do anything where your economy's still going to go down no matter what. So why also add in casualty counts to that?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer, right? But they don't see it that way.
No.
That's, I guess, politics. Yeah.
And you look at a country like New Zealand, which is now completely COVID-free, from what I understand. They shut down immediately.
Same with Amsterdam and Holland. My sister is moving to Holland in July, and she, yeah, she is. And she told me, she was like, they were in quarantine. Get this, Roxy. They were in quarantine for a week. They were done after a week. They were done. Here's the thing though. Everything shut down. A to Z. Everything. Like it was like a full country shutdown. Like money stopped. Like everything just stopped in that country. So they took an entire week off, and even municipal districts were closed. So if people need to take out their trash, they're gonna have to do it themselves. Like that was just, everyone had to collectively get together and do their part essentially. And we as a country can't afford that. Like logistically, there's too many people that live in this country, let alone California, let alone Texas. So, or even New York, so we're too big to shut down. But it's people like Holland, my sister was like, yeah, after a week, the prime minister came back and said, all right, we're opening everything back up. And everyone reported COVID free. Everything was good. People went back to work and everything. Yeah. And the people who were sick were still quarantined. They were still at home, but everyone else could go back to work, and nothing spiked. Nothing shot back up. Everyone did their part. Crazy, right?
I think that's the other thing. It's like, at the end of the day, American culture is not compliant with this sort of thing.
Oh.
We basically, like, one of the biggest, like, American things is the American independence. Make your own rules. Do it your way. Which is completely counter to what is needed right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's not the culture and the mainstream ideology of what an American is.
It's not. And it feels like, it's every man for himself at this point. Every man, woman, and child for themselves, It's not.
But not the old people gotta suffer.
What'd you say?
But not the old people, they gotta suffer. Every man, woman, and child. But old people, nah, you can go.
The boomers gotta go. They gotta leave.
What was, at the start of COVID, what were people calling this? The boomer
Baby
removal?
boomer killer? Yes, baby boomer mover. That's right. Yeah.
Terrible. It's so messed up.
But here, I mean, here's the thing, though. It's just like, think about it. The old people that, were in politics like 30, 40, 50 years ago, right? Politics and racism and prejudice and, sexism, it was all rampant during that time. And by the way, no one asked anything about it, Like, it's crazy. And nowadays, since I've been born, I think since my entire life, I had one guy boss in my entire retail career. And I probably worked like 5 or 6 retail companies. All of them were women. All of my bosses were women. Yeah, they were. And I was just used to working with women. And I was raised by women. It was just my mom, single mother with my sister. And that was it. And that's just a no-brainer for me to be bossed by a lady. But there's a lot of men who are like, no, my masculinity says no. Even though this woman is more educated than I am, most likely, I still say no because I have principles and I'm a man.
Your boomer terrible guy face is frightening. And I'm very sad that you hadn't started recording yet so that everyone could see that face right there.
Oh, I recorded. I just haven't gone live yet. I've just been shooting the shit with you. I recorded. It's all there. I'll keep it and everything. Yeah.
Oh, please, take that and, make that, the frame picture of, here to watch this video. It's just you.
I'm a boomer, and I have privileges.
So
I want to, especially the Karens of the world, too. No one likes a Karen, right?
I think it's San Francisco. They're coming out with a Karen law, and that's
Karen
actually
law? I saw that. I thought that was amazing. So it's just old racist white women. If they start calling the police on prejudice, this black man is about to, I don't know, touch me or something. They're gonna be like, yeah, go fuck yourself. And then,
it's gonna be a crime in San Francisco. I think what it is, it's if you file a police report that is based off of a racial prejudice, then you will be the person that gets a ticket and arrested.
You're the one who's going to be indicted. Yep.
And I can't remember, so it's Karen with a C, but it's actually an acronym, and I can't remember what each letter stands for. But they did it on purpose.
They did it on purpose. Absolutely, dude.
And I love it so.
Yeah, it's caution against racially exploitative non-emergencies.
Yes, that.
Yeah. See, man, this is what justice is. I love it.
Justice is turning into a law.
It is, finally, for the first time. No, I take that back. There's been plenty of justice. Plenty of justice. And the first and foremost was the suffrage, of course, but probably even more before that, too. So there's justice all around, but it's just we only focus on the negative shit because it's the negative shit that's so prominent to us. It's shoved in our faces. All right, you ready to go live?
Let's
ready
do it.
To say fuck it or do it live?
We're going live. We're doing it live. Hit the button.
O'Reilly style. Get it recorded. Let's do that shit. Back when Bill O'Reilly was all about, cocaine and Fox News.
Oh my God, so much cocaine.
So much cocaine.
I really hope at some point he had done some sort of story the dangers of cocaine. And then
I hope
right
so too. Well, and also call out everyone else who's like, you know, like I've done like 17 bumps with Roger Ailes. Like, well, we had like, you know, strippers popping out of a cake or something, like crazy stories, you know, like, and you know he hasn't. You
Oh,
know
they're
he
out.
hasn't. And
100%.
and it's disgusting, but somehow it's just like, man, you are such a disgusting human being, but the fact that you got away with it is all the most surprising to me. Like, crazy shit has gone on in like CEOs' offices more than we can wrap our heads around.
Oh yeah,
So
they're never gonna know the full extent of some of these stories.
no, and the fact that, you know, Harvey Weinstein's in jail right now, we're just kind of like just scratching the surface at this point, right? Like, we still have a lot to go. Like, we still
Oh
have
yeah.
a long ways away before like anyone can say, you know what, I think we're good now. No, there's still going to be more, no matter
Oh
what.
yeah. The nice, like one of the things that is kind of nice is that I think we're kind of seeing a trickle down effect right now.
Yeah,
So right now it's a thing like Harvey Weinstein was like, fuck yes, that's a big one, that's a giant fish.
yeah,
And now, because they actually like kind of did the smart thing of going for like the top of the pyramid first, you're now starting to see like it trickle all the way down through like every single department, everything. They're actually recently in the special effects world in LA.
yeah.
This one guy got outed like a week ago for being a predator, and the stories against
No
him.
way.
And actually, like,
Wow.
and it's, I'm not going to go into it because I was not involved. I'm just hearing the story secondhand. But it's
No,
kind
I
of
understand.
a rallying thing recently of like the special effects community is like, we're done. We're not supporting this behavior anymore. These men have been able to take advantage of their power and their access to young special effects artists that are just trying to
Right.
learn. And we're not going to let it go on any longer, which is wonderful and great. And the person has like been outed and kind of removed from the community, from what I know.
So he won't be working anytime soon, like probably ever, right?
I would be shocked if he ever like if he was on a job again. Like I know he like left town. He had a job at a special effects company, and he doesn't work there anymore. It'll be very hard for him to come back from that, and we don't need assholes in the industry. There's enough of them. We can get rid of them.
There's too many. Yeah, there's too many for sure, and it's I'm really glad now that things are coming to light. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad things are just sort of like, oh, okay, yeah. Now the curtain is pulled back on this whole entire thing, and I think we've all been waiting for it. We just didn't know when it was going to happen. You know?
Yeah.
And now that it's happening, it's like, now is the best time more than ever. And it's been happening. It's been happening since like years ago. The whole Me Too movement and even movements before it too. Black Lives Matter a long time ago, you know? It's, I don't know. When you think about it in retrospect, you would think like, this is going to be another day. Like, we still don't see any justice. We're making justice in history every single day. And I feel like none of us are going to, like, I feel like you and I, Roxy, are going to talk about this like 20 years from now or 30 years from now.
100%.
Like, holy shit, did you remember when Trump was a president? Like, wow. You know? I would think we would be dreaming. It's like, nah, I think we were asleep during that time.
Were we just on like mushrooms for like 4 years?
It was just a bad acid trip, Roxy, the entire time. No one told us.
So many things. If it was just like a super bad trip that like the entire country was going through.
Yeah. It's just a really bad VR experience, and we're just like, you know, it's like we're just like now taking our headset off, and it's like, holy shit, what have I been looking at, you know? It does feel like that. It does feel like we're in an alternate reality with all this shit going on, you know? And
Oh yeah.
it's also great on Reddit too. There's this like giant Reddit thread where it's just like justice for men or something like that. And it was like it's like to defend men. It's like, I feel like we're not getting enough respect. And it's just like, are you fucking high?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Because you had at least, what, about 150, 200 years to say, 300 years even to call all the shots, right?
No. I'm so sorry that you're not allowed to be a shit human being anymore and have to actually treat people around you with respect.
But I mean, I'm not gonna say like all men should burn alive. There's good men out there. But at the same time, well, right. But at the same time, we live in a state, or not state, but we live in a country now where everyone's being held accountable. So whatever you say and whatever you do and whatever you believe in, you are going to be held accountable to it, no matter what. So now it's just the accountability dynasty of just trying to, people are just trying to defend themselves and prove someone else wrong or prove someone else right or some bullshit like that. Like the Karens in the world. Now we have Karens. Karens are just trying to do whatever they possibly can to prove they're not racist while inherently being racist.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, and like you said, we're living in a time of accountability. And I think this is something like I've talked to a few friends about. Like, one of the things when like you're calling people out and like being like things is like still trying to do it in like a semi-respectful way. Mm-hmm. Just so, like, depending on what they're saying. There's sometimes people say things it's like, there's no way to address this. That is your thought process. And but there's sometimes when people say certain things and it really does come not from a place of hatred, but just of privilege and of being naive. And I feel like people like me are like, you're a terrible person. You're shit. Oh my God, what's wrong with society? It automatically triggers a defense where people aren't going to look at the other side and try to better themselves, but they're just going to be like, I'm being accosted right now, so I have to go in defensive because I'm being attacked. Whereas sometimes I feel like people are always like, hey, you probably shouldn't say that for these reasons. Just wanted to let you know. It's a better way of actually getting people to potentially change and look at it at a different angle. Like, there's shit that I know. That's all
it is. It's just a different perspective. It's nothing crazy,
Like, I know for a fact, like, I've thought about it, like, remembered, like, some things I posted online, and now I'm like, oh, God, that was so right.
Cringy.
But I said it, and at the time, I really thought that I was being a good person by saying that, but now I recognize, like, oh, God, here's, like, the 20 things that I did that were, like, highly offensive now. Fuck.
And it's just inherently, and us as human beings, just as human beings, we inherently fuck up. That's just how we are. But the bigger people are the ones who point it out for themselves that they did fuck up, that they hold themselves accountable, saying like, yeah, I did say that. Yeah, I did do that.
There's a couple of Facebook posts I'm not looking forward to popping up on the feed.
No, but I will say this, though. My mom, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are recording this and we are live. My mom is a conservative woman. My mom is a very, very conservative woman. And we watched Louis C.K.'s special last night. New stand-up special. It came out like 3 months ago.
Interesting.
And it came out on his website. First 5 minutes, Roxy, he started off with the whole case on what he did 4 years ago. Yeah. And he came forward about it and he came clean. He was like, look, like what I did was absolutely disgusting. It was not good. Like, I'm not a good human being for that. But he was like, furthermore, the fact that you guys look at me as an inspiration or as an example, why are you guys doing that? Like, no, I didn't ask you guys to do that. I'm not an example. I'm not an inspiration. He's like, I'm another old white guy, another old white monster. That's what he said. And I'm like, wow, this guy's really like doubling down. He's like, I'm a shitty human being. He was like, but it's not going to prevent me from doing stand-up. He was like, I'm going to be doing stand-up for the rest of my life. He was like, you can cancel me every single day. That's fine. I probably deserve it. he was like, quite frankly, I most likely deserve it. But he's like, you got to understand, I'm doing comedy. It's comedy. And that situation, what happened, wasn't comedy. It was a real fucking thing. And he even admitted himself. He was like, that is not what a human being does. That is not what a man, that's not what a man does at all. And he said it. He admitted it, and he came to grips with it. And I thought that was a very stand-up thing to do. My mom agreed, and even my mom was like, that's crazy. Like, I would never have expected someone like him to say, yeah, I'm not a good human being. I'm not a good person. For someone to admit that, to say they're not a good human being is very crazy. But, at the same time,
it being so far removed from the actual incident, because like I feel like anytime you have these news reports and these stories, like within like a couple days, like, I am a bad person, I know I need treatment, this is not right, here's all the reasons. And it's that thing where it's like, yeah, your PR agent like handed you a script and went, this is what you're gonna say, this is the damage control, highlight these points, can you work up some tears? Give us some tears, that'll be really great. Do you have a woman that can stand beside you and nod her head approvingly? Yeah. Like, most of these apologies are so scripted in the moment that you can't really believe them, because also I feel like a lot of times they're happening so quickly, it's not actually enough time for true self-reflection.
It's not genuine.
No. So I feel like the fact that this is so many years later, after his career has essentially been forever damaged, he's had time to think about it, he's had time to reevaluate, that it actually makes it where it's more likely true and genuine how he's feeling and the things he's saying.
Mm-hmm. Which doesn't justify him at all.
No.
It doesn't. But it does acknowledge the fact that, okay, at least he held himself accountable. He could have went the other way and be like, fuck you guys, I did what I wanted to do, and I have money, and I'm Louis C.K. He could have easily done that. But he didn't. He took the other way, and I think it's probably because like he had a family. He has kids. And so he's he's just like, I have to do something better with my life and prove to somebody that I'm a good example. So why not my daughters? And I think that's a very good step forward. But I don't know, Roxy. People are just trying to be human in a very unjust world, but at the same time, it's a complete just world. It's just people cannot handle being held accountable. We don't know. It's all by perspective.
Fair. Very true. Very fair.
So yeah,
has just turned into like 40 minutes of us just like shooting the shit and just like catching up.
So let's probably, I should probably intro the podcast.
Christine, when you go to edit this, I'm really sorry that like the first 40 minutes is just like nothing to do with anything of importance. Have fun.
I just realized that. I'm like, wow, we've been talking for a while. And then I'm like, oh, we've been talking for a while.
But nothing that has to do with the actual podcast we're doing. Shit.
But you guys, it's content. It's content. We're just shooting the shit. And that's what the podcast is all about. You guys, welcome to the Get Reelisms podcasts. I'm Adam Chase Rennie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for joining in. I see a couple of people are tuned in. They might have tuned out. I don't know, but they're still there. They're still there. We got a few peoples, All right. Well, today, you guys, we have a very special guest. And I mean that once again, but I mean it very truly because she is a buddy. She is a great friend of the podcast. She's a great friend of Christine's. She is a friend to me. And I would love to welcome hair and makeup artist based from Los Angeles, Roxanne McDanel. Hi, Roxy.
Hello. Hi. Hello. It's so good to see you.
It's great seeing you.
40
I
minutes.
know. We just been like half an hour just super hard on like, you know, social justice shit, you know? Like we just
The
got
world.
into it. But I think it's because like I haven't talked to many human beings lately, so you know, I think unfortunately I have a lot to say, and I assume you have a lot to say, so we're both like, hey, let's talk about this.
You have a lot to say? Never. I'm so quiet. I never like say anything and stick my foot in my mouth and all that stuff. What? I don't get into fights online with people. It's
And then
fine.
just like take a sip, and just like,
Yep. That's not what I
So
do at all.
Roxy, you're a hair and makeup artist.
Yep.
Based out of LA. How is, for those of you who are not in LA, who mostly the viewers that I've been seeing who've been watching this podcast are mostly local, who are at least in Texas. How is it over there in LA? Like it doesn't feel like the city's on fire, but it sure does sound like it.
There was a rough patch. Like there definitely was some. You know, when you're getting text messages that in 30 minutes your city is going to be on lockdown and you cannot be on the street anymore, It's a little dark, not so fun. But we're now at the point that pretty much it's gone back to normal. Traffic is back, unfortunately. Got that, like,
That
beginning.
great commute.
It was so nice driving around because the roads were, like, so empty. Like,
I'm so jealous too because I never been on like the 405 or any of those freeways that have been not busy. Like that's crazy to me.
Hey, like there was one day I walked over to a store, and as we were walking over, it was a thing where it's like, you know, I mean, there's still people out there, stuff going on, and then we realized like this is 5 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah, you think it would be popping? It's not.
And that was saying like we had no problem crossing the road. There was like a few cars. But yeah, it was
Ample
definitely
parking.
If you told me this was like 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, it would sound right. That's how like empty everything was.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, so in your opinion though, like the film industry that's been happening now that it's all been into a halt, like I feel like, I mean, you probably know just as much as anyone, but like do you have like any sort of like news or like anything that is like traveling in the stratosphere and through the grapevine telling you like, hey, we're gonna open back up soon? Like
I mean, it's
people are just shooting shit and they're just completely disregarding the
such a weird thing because there keeps being random productions that are like, we're starting up, we're gonna lead the way, and everyone's like actively watching them and waiting to see how it works out. Like I know right now, what was it, Jurassic World 3, like Jurassic World Dominion, I think is what it's called. They actually resumed filming. And I read one thing that was like, one day and they had to shut down production because multiple crew members tested positive for COVID. But then Universal released a statement that was like, no guys, we're actually on day 5 of filming. Everything's going smoothly. We're good.
I was going to say, that seems like a pretty big company to let that slip through the cracks, right?
Well, I have a feeling, once again, I don't actually know anything. This is just a theory that they started filming. And from what I understand, most productions, before you actually can walk onto the set, you're getting tested right now. You're having your temperature taken. You're
getting the thermal laser beam. Yeah.
Yeah. So my guess is like a couple people showed up and they immediately were told like, hey, you actually got to go. So that then being like, oh, they're shutting down. They turned people away. It's like, well, they potentially turn people away, for the greater good of the set. I know right now, like productions, if they're in a situation to postpone, they're postponing. Just because to actually be COVID compliant right now, let's be real, it's fucking expensive.
Very expensive.
all the procedures you have to go through, everything you're having to do, it's not a cheap undertaking right now. And a lot of productions, reasonably so, if they have a choice between pushing it back for like 4 or 5 months or not, they're going to choose to push it, because even if like they're having to like do a couple of like payment things, it's still going to work out cheaper. I know right now the big thing for me, like just yesterday, I'm not in the union yet. Fingers crossed for eventually joining 706 local. But
Hell yeah.
706 in conjunction with the, I think 705 is the Stylist and Wardrobe Guild. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Please no one yell at me. It's not my union, so I'm not as familiar with it. They're
about to send you all of the letters, Roxy. You better watch it.
No, my best friend Shay watches and be like, Roxy, you went to the Christmas party with me. It's like, yeah.
I know. How dare you?
So I don't remember the numbers that were on the cups, okay? But I think it's 705 because, I don't know. Anyway, numbers. But the two unions just released together their COVID protocol yesterday.
Gotcha.
And it's like I think like a 20-something page document outlining.
I was going to say, was that the class you were taking? Or I could have sworn like you posted something, like you were taking like a certificate class or, yeah. So
I've now done 7 different hygiene and sanitation certificate programs. There's a lot. And that's totally separate, because those are just, most of them are aimed more at like cosmetologists and hairstylists, people like that. So most of them are going over like those kinds of hygiene practices, but there's still things that for makeup artists and hairstylists are really important to know, because there's a lot of crossover in knowledge. There was two. Dare I say, Roxy, you is a professional. Shit. Yes. Yeah, there's 2 of them that are specifically designed for makeup artists. Yeah. And one of the weirdest things about being a makeup artist that shocks a lot of people, you do not need to have any training, any sort of special education, no kind of certificate or anything to do makeup. Really? Which is bonkers. Yeah. That is bonkers. Like, I never went to school for makeup. Well, right. Yeah. But, I mean, you would have to have some sort of training, right? Like, wouldn't you, like, if a director doesn't see a resume, like, they would be like, well, they still hire them? That's crazy. As long as you can show cheap enough, I guess. Yeah. Like, yeah. I got start working in retail makeup, so I did beauty makeup, and then just learned how to do more of the special effects stuff by helping other artists, watching things online, researching. There are a few random workshops throughout the years I've been able to take to learn skill sets. Yeah, you actually don't have to have any sort of certificate or proper training, as long as you can prove to whoever's hiring you that you're like, yeah, I know how to do that, and here you go. Which is weird now, like post-COVID world, that you don't have to have, even just for sanitation. Well, right. And the fact that the more education you are aware of this, especially with beauty and, you know, hair and makeup and sanitation, especially with safety and all that, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, that seems like a no-brainer, but I wouldn't have thought about that, you know? Like, that's just something since you've been in the industry and you've been in the position that you've been in, yeah, like that, it makes sense. So that's the fundamental difference between somebody who actually does want to learn versus somebody who is like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll try it out. You know, I used to work at Sephora for a second, you know, and then I'll just jump right in. It's like, I think it's a little more than that, but. Well, especially like when you get into like filming and stuff like that. The last feature I worked on fully, one of the funniest moments to me was when I was talking to the writer on it. And I said something about like one of the scenes of the script, and he looked at me and went, "Oh, so you read the scripts?" Wait, do you do your job? Hang on. But he had no idea that to be a makeup artist, like to be the department head on a film, you read the script to know everything. Everybody has to read. I mean, I think
maybe the grips and G&E probably don't read the script. Maybe.
The other position that I know doesn't read the
Yeah.
script, because our conversations that are the funniest ones are sound department.
Sound department. That's another one. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a buddy I was on a film with, and we were filming it, and it was like day 7. He came up to me, he's like, Roxy, this is a thriller? And I just was like, yeah, dude. He's like, I thought we were filming a romantic comedy. And he's dead serious because he had like read the title of the film.
Yeah, and then of course you have to ask, so you didn't read the script. It's like, no.
Oh, and he just like had like the most like mind blown look on his face. I really thought this was a thriller or romantic comedy. It's like, no, that's why I have like a gallon of blood in my car. It's like, I don't know. I just saw that we had like the actors. Because that's all.
It's just a couple of newlyweds playing with blood.
That's what he thought it was.
That's hilarious. Yeah, sound department for sure. Yeah, they I feel like they're the last one to be like caught up with everything.
So good.
But yeah. I mean, it is shocking though, because you probably do get surprise like feedback from people who are like, hang on, you read the shit that I write? That's crazy. It's like, yeah, you hired me. Like, you have to. Like, I don't have a choice. And you would think most people would do. And of course, like, I don't think a set PA would sit down and read the script, you know, from front to back, unless it's like a project they were passionate about too. You know, I don't think they're going to waste their time either. Not saying all of them do or don't, but yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes you just got better shit to do. But when you're getting paid and there's a lot on your shoulders, yeah, you should probably know the script. Like, and one might assume the sound department would know too, but they're like, do I need a boom for this shot? It's like,
and because it is that thing, like, realistically, do they need to know what's going on beyond what's on the call sheet that day? Not really.
I guess not. Yeah.
Like, as long as they have flops and everything to mic every actor. So they just need basically, like, the character count, and they need, like, a breakdown of how many actors per day.
Right. And maybe, like, a call sheet with a shot list or something, yeah. But that's about it. Yeah.
Whereas, like, for the creative departments, it matters more to actually know, like, in depth what the script is, whether you're wardrobe, art department, makeup, then like G&E, or like for the gaffer and stuff, because you are trying to tell the story through your individual department. So you need to know the overall themes. You need to know like if there's flashbacks, and just like have, even just for continuity, if you do it, that's, you know, say scene 5 is actually a flash forward to scene 95. You need to know that those scenes are connected so everything matches up logistically and visually. Yeah.
Which is, yeah, exactly. Where script supervisor comes in, and, you know, yeah, it's a fair point. I don't know how I got into that. I didn't write it down just yet, but we'll just move on to the next question that I have. So one thing I do want to talk about, actually, there's one thing that popped up this morning. And when I say they, I mean the company of Walmart. This is a little strange, and I don't know how it is coming from Huffington Post. So if anyone is curious, I'll post it on Facebook later, all the articles that I reference here. But Walmart has bought a bunch of drive-in movie theaters, and they're going to start re-upping their drive-in game. You know, now we're in the COVID world. I mean, Roxy, like how what'd you say? Sorry.
I wish it wasn't Walmart, but I'm down for drive-ins making a comeback, honestly.
That was the thing that kind of threw me the most. I'm like, why Walmart? Like, that's just like, I would assume like AMC or something, or Alamo or someone, you know.
I so wish Alamo was doing that. Like, oh, that would make me so damn happy.
I feel like that's such a cash cow. I feel like Alamo, this is such a cash cow for them that they're, at least they are thinking about it here in Texas. If they're not already thinking about it in LA, they have to be doing it here, you know?
I know Alamo, like, they've done pop-up events where they've done, like, kind of a drive style, so I know they have done that to that degree. And I think, like, this is the other thing, like, because is it AMC was the theater that was like, we're not going to require masks. We're going to let people, like, AMC, honestly,
AMC.
like,
and
has
I'll
kind
link
of
that too. I read that article. Yeah.
terribly. They've, like, handled everything from beginning to end in such, like, a really problematic way to where I feel like they've kind of irreparably harmed their business name. Like, I don't know a lot of people that want to support them. They'd much rather support a company like Alamo. So I at one point was joking, I was like, look, if AMC can just, like, go under, then Alamo Drafthouse can come buy.
Yeah.
Let's have it happen. But the problem is,
Alamo should Disney that shit and just put a monopoly on all movie theaters, you know? Like,
except this is the thing that, like, kind of sucks, is Alamo's been, like, such a great company during all this and, like, has actively, no, we're not opening it. No, we're not going to do this. Yeah, we're going to force you to still wear a mask. That we're, I don't know their, like, financials, but I feel like they definitely don't have, like, a bunch of excess cash right now to be like, heck yeah, we're going to invest in all this stuff. Even though I'm like, I love it, but you guys are a great company, so you can't really invest right now because you have to focus on your core products.
And I don't know, man. Like, I love the idea of a drive-in movie theater, you know?
I do too.
Yeah.
There's two drive-ins that are not too terribly far from LA. They're like 40 minutes out of LA, which is a bit of a drive, but man.
Okay.
But I had a few friends that have gone to them and said that they're really fun. One is called, like, the Tiki Hut or something like that, I think.
Where's that at?
I don't remember. I just know it's like 45 minutes away.
Gotcha.
But I thought about going at one point because Amazon released a movie called, oh my god, what was it called? Something Night. The Vast of Night.
Vast of Night. Oh, such a good movie.
Such a good movie. And when they were coming out with it, before they released it on Amazon Prime, they actually were doing it at a bunch of drive-in theaters.
Oh, I would love to see that in a drive-in. Yeah.
I thought about going to see it, except, like, by the time I heard about it, it was 2 days before it came out on Amazon Prime. So it was that moment where I was like,
yeah,
I could drive 45 minutes one way to watch this movie and pay for it.
Yeah. I could just stay home. Drink wine, take some edibles.
Just live that life.
Just live that life. No, but, like, I love the idea of a drive-in movie theater, and with LA, like, that's, like, I didn't know LA even still had drive-in movie theaters. I know Texas has a bunch though.
I think they're definitely, like, a dying thing, but weirdly COVID actually made them, like, profitable again. Because, like, the one I mentioned, the Tiki something, if anyone knows of it, please let the name of it, please correct me because I don't know it. They
that
actually,
sounds right.
Yeah, we're gonna go with it. Before COVID, one of their things was like once or twice a month, they had a flea market, and that was their way of kind of keeping the cost effective. Is that they'd also use the large area they had during the daytime for something like that to kind of balance out the cost.
Gotcha. So they can keep running through the day, you know, instead of paying the bills just to have it empty throughout the day. Yeah, that's a pretty smart business decision. And I don't think, Roxy, I'm going to be going inside of a movie theater anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's kind of, I'm not saying it's a dying art. I'm not saying that. I still will go to a movie theater because a movie theater, man, if Marvel still keeps busting out fucking knockers after knockers, dude, I'm going to be there no matter what. Black Widow, I'm going to be there. Like, for sure. If they reopen it and it's like, yeah, you're going to have to wear masks and shit, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. Like, I'll do it. Because I do like that big screen experience. But at the same time, I ain't going to waste my time if there's an independent film I can wait 3 weeks later, you know. But in a drive-in, it's different.
Drive-in's different. Like, and especially
because I'm just chilling in my car, you know?
Yeah, you have limited contact. I had one group of friends, they actually organized like 10 cars going. And so socially distanced meetup because they all stayed in their cars. Like, I saw one photo where they were all like sitting on the roof of their cars so they could talk to each other.
Yeah, dude.
Before the movie started, so that was their way of still respecting the COVID rules, but still getting that social.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great, and I feel like you still get that communal, because I think this is one of the things with a lot of movies. Like you said, maybe not your indie art house films, but with a lot of movies, there's this communal feel when you go and you watch them in the theater. It's you laugh harder when you hear someone else laugh. You pick up on some things that you may not picked up on when you like hear that gasp.
Right.
Like, films are, in a weird way, they've always been designed to be watched as a community, as a culture. Like, as soon as filmmaking was created, you were watching them in theaters with people. Like, you had those screens when they very, very first came out that was like a single person looking through them, but they're not really what you consider like the true origins of film.
Right.
It was always designed in a communal way, and the storytelling was designed in this kind of communal way. And it's only been within maybe the past 20 years that you've kind of had this shift to what the technology is, to look at it as an individual at a solitary screen.
Right.
So I feel like that is such an ingrained part of the experience that it's never going to truly die.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
I think it might be figured, it might be reevaluated, but it's never going to completely go away.
No, and of course, the cost of a movie ticket dissuades people too. The cost of a movie ticket, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty fucking ridiculous. And especially in LA, it's too much, way too much. You know. But yeah, I do. I also read too, and tell me if I'm wrong, Roxy. I read somewhere, and I'll link it too. Universal is pulling their movies from theaters. Have you read about that?
I remember hearing something that, because it was after the success of the Trolls movie, the second Trolls movie, that they basically came out and they're like, we actually did really well. Wasn't it that basically when they took into the account of the cost of distribution versus the cost of releasing it, the profits actually were about the same for them, or something like that? So I think what they were saying was, it was something crazy like that, where it's we actually came out about the same, or at least not as bad as we anticipated. And part of what they were saying was that it was they were reevaluating their distribution plan.
Gotcha.
So
what
they were saying was they weren't 100% going to not release in theaters. Because once again, there's certain movies like Trolls, I can watch it on my TV. I'm not going to lose a lot from the experience.
No, with a bunch of screaming kids in a movie theater. You know what I mean?
Sorry to anyone that has children, not my jam.
We love kids.
We love kids. I just don't love kids when I'm watching a movie and they start crying.
Bingo. Yes.
Okay.
Loud. If they're too loud, it makes me too anxious. Can't deal with it, you know?
Once again, this is why I love Alamo Drafthouse, because I get that choice of not children.
Yeah,
that's why I support the theaters I support. And happily, they opened up an Alamo Drafthouse in LA.
Yes, that's right, in downtown LA, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I've yet to go to it. I was going to, and then COVID. Because this is my time for COVID.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Sorry. All right, really quick tangent. I keep forgetting that this is other people watching as well. So
no, I know.
I'm just talking to Adam, we're being goofy, and then I'll do something like great. I don't know how many people
we are being goofy, but yeah, we just have to take into consideration it is live. So but I mean, honestly, Roxy, the most incriminating thing that I've probably have said is probably honestly not as bad as I took it to be, because when I do review back some shit, I'm just okay. Huh?
You and me don't stay on one train of thought.
No, well, that's just
here and then there.
you would think that's a stoner thing, but you, my friend, are not. I am.
Yeah.
And I go on many tangents. Some tangents that are just like, hang on, Adam, where did that even come from? You know? But but I still go on them tangents, you know? I love them tangents. So speaking of tangents, you were saying about yeah. Yes.
I can't remember what the actual tangent I was going on was, but we were talking about Universal and them not releasing movies in theaters.
Yes.
So I think they're still going to release
Alamo
them.
Draft House. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, because they opened one in LA, so that was the tangent. I
Yes.
think. Or kids were the tangent. Anyway, a tangent happened.
Yeah. Yes.
So back onto the main topic.
So back on the main topic, yeah. So Universal, so they're just reworking their distribution is the correct way of going about it.
I don't think they're going to completely not show in theaters because like they have horror that come out. I want to see
this thing. Yeah, that's why I was like, for Universal to completely pull their entire distribution away from movie theaters just seems a little far-fetched to me. You know, especially like, you know, they just released the new Halloween trailer, the new Halloween movie, like through Universal. Like they just released that trailer and shit. It's like, I know Universal's going to want to put that back in theaters. Like, if not theaters, drive-ins at least, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I think what AMC
see Halloween in a drive-in movie theater? Oh, dude, that'd be rad.
Have you watched the trailer for Candyman?
I have, and it looks amazing. It looks great.
So excited for that one. So excited. And that one's actually that's a joint project between a couple of different companies.
Well, have you seen the original Candyman?
I actually haven't, and I feel so bad. I know I'm gonna have like some of my horror friends that like scream at me for this. I haven't seen it. I've worked with Tony Todd, and I haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah, I worked with him almost exactly a year ago on a film back in Texas. He was one of our actors. He is such a sweetheart. He is so tall.
He looks like it too, man. That's so rad.
Speak up because, like I said, he's a very, very tall man. Like.
Yeah.
Everyone knows he is tall. If you don't know people, I am not tall. I am tiny. I am 5'1".
I was gonna say I don't know, man. You pushing 5'11". I the last time I said you had a grip.
No, I'm 5'1". That man is over 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So it was really funny doing his makeup and like having to go in for touch-ups because every time
you're like one golden retriever length taller or shorter than him.
But he was very sweet because he very quickly was like, "Would you like me to sit down? I would love for you to sit down, sir.
Please, because I need a ladder."
Like I think with my arm fully extended, like I could reach like right here on him. I could not actually get it.
You can just like slap his chin and that's it.
Like get one of those giant comically large powder puffs and just make it clear.
The OG Candyman is good. I do enjoy it. And yeah, I would say watch it just so you can, you know, because I know they're gonna have so many Easter eggs like with main characters and stuff that will go into the reboot. I think it's a reboot. But I read somewhere that it looked like, I could have sworn I read somewhere on Reddit, it looks like it could be a sequel to the original Candyman. I don't know though.
I feel like it's one of those like not official sequels.
Maybe.
Where it's a reboot, but at the same time they reference like, well, you know, 20 years ago there was this story.
Yeah, right.
Like
story about Candyman.
Sequeling, but we're also gonna like just sprinkle it in for those that know the.
Yeah, right.
Because I think that's doing it because you do have so many people like that are of a certain age that never saw the original that are like, well, but if I haven't seen the original, I don't want to watch a sequel. So like, it being that smart way of marketing it.
Yeah, and maybe you're right. Maybe you won't have to. Maybe it's just like going to be a reboot or enough of a sequel where it feels like a reboot, where it plays as an original story in a way, but still playing to the same tropes of the original Candyman or something, you know. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for Candyman. I'm excited for Jordan Peele also released his second season of Twilight Zone on CBS.
Ooh.
Yeah. Did you know he's doing Twilight Zone?
I remember that. I do remember that, but I still haven't seen the first season because I don't have access to CBS, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is like CBS, like it only costs $7 a month, which isn't bad, but it's another fucking bill. You know, like fuck. I feel like I'm only paying for streaming subscriptions. You know.
But if you have Netflix, Hulu,
Yeah.
Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, HBO Max now, like
Yeah.
and each one of them are like, it's only like $10 or less. It's like that's still $50 a month right there.
But when you think about it, though, would you want everything all in one app?
Yes.
Really? Would you? Like, you just want it all? I do like the catalog of, like, let's say Disney. You know, like if I'm feeling like a Disney movie, I'm going to be chilling with the Disney app, you know? If I'm feeling like, you know, I want to go with an action movie, I'll rest on like Netflix or Hulu or something, you know? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one app does make it better because you just have it all there.
Smashed into one.
And all you have to do is just go hit the search bar and just like search whatever movie you want, or look at the top paid movies or top stream movies or whatever. Yeah.
Because realistically, like it used to be with a lot of these streaming things, like it was your alternative to cable.
Yeah.
But now kind of getting back to almost like a cable model, except you can pick and choose.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
Because it used to be, they had their packages where it's like, cool, well, for, you know, an extra $15 a month, you can get these 200 channels or these 10 channels. Right. And now it's kind of like that. It's like, well, $10 more, you can get all of these programs.
Yeah. And now there's like 3 different apps for HBO and shit. Yeah, I know.
So we realized this the other day. I'm assuming because it's HBO Max. Is that their latest thing?
I got HBO. I completely dropped my HBO Now and got HBO Max. You get 3 times more movies than HBO Now, which is stupid because HBO Now seems irrelevant. So nobody go to HBO Now. HBO Now is like less than HBO Max.
So I'm this person. I don't actually pay for HBO, but my in-laws have cable still.
That's right. So that's right, Roxy, because you're an American. Because that's what we do, okay? We share accounts, okay?
We share accounts.
Yeah, that's how you roll. I share accounts between 3 different people for my Netflix, okay? So, like, I ain't got shit.
No, like, we all do it, but it's also a thing I'm like, oh, should I be admitting this on, like, a public thing? It's fine, whatever. But so I used their login, and so originally we couldn't get HBO Max because it was a separate service.
Yeah.
With the past, like, week, suddenly it's like, oh, you're trying to log on to your HBO Go? Actually, you qualify for the HBO Max for you, so use that instead.
Yeah.
So it was a funny moment. We're like, so yeah. And this is the replacement, but you just, for some reason, just try to roll it out this way? Or is that you've noticed that very few people were actually paying for the HBO Max, so you're just like rolling it into the old stuff?
Yeah, I mean, are you a DC or Marvel fan?
Marvel.
Okay, same here. Because they have a whole DC lineup in HBO Max, which I'm not gonna lie, it looks kind of cool. And in a few months, we're gonna get Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. You know, and we all knew how much of Justice League was a hot steaming pile of dookie. So, you know, we don't talk about that.
I liked the DC TV shows.
Justice League TV show, animated TV show, banger. You know?
Didn't watch, but like, what W shows? Like Flash.
Oh, yes. Banger as well. They were great.
So when they started coming out with the movies, and they weren't using like the same thing, I was like, I don't want to because you're not using my Flash.
Wonder Woman isn't bad though, right? Aquaman wasn't bad.
Only one of them I've watched because she's freaking rad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tall,
so good.
very tall woman.
Very tall
Like,
woman.
Tall, sexually intimidating.
My God, like, I remember one of the funniest things after watching the movie, I was talking to a girlfriend, and we were talking about the movie, she's like, the moment I nearly cried was when she was running across no man's land, and you could see her thigh jiggle.
Honestly, thighs for days. I mean, yeah, true.
But it was just the funniest thing that, like, as a woman, that was, like, the moment she connected with the movie. She's like, there is some extra weight on them, and they jiggle when she takes a powerful step. And I loved it so much. So
they're graceful jiggles. Yeah.
Like, Wonder Woman has thighs that jiggle too. It's okay.
But you gotta understand the amount of training and the amount of fucking diet and the crazy fucking exercises she had to fucking do. I would give a hard pass for sure. So like, fuck that. I'm good. Like, In-N-Out tastes too good.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. No, I won't go. Do you want a random tangent thing?
Let's go into it. I'll write down Wonder Woman just in case we get off topic.
Well, this is so. I just saw this morning. Train of thought is train, diet, and all the things, and that goes into the thought of crazy things that actors do to get ready for films and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like Christian Bale and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like actors do some intense things to prepare for roles. So apparently, Shia Labeouf has a movie he's going to start working on.
Yes.
Where he is tattooed.
Okay.
And pictures have come out of him with a full chest tattoo that he actually got for the movie.
That he got for the role?
He decided I don't know exactly why, but instead of going through makeup, to go and get...
Roxy, if that's not commitment, I don't fucking know what is. I truly don't anymore.
It's insane. Like, that's a level of commitment to go, like, it's not worth it, because that is painful.
Like,
that is... And even to get it removed, once again, that is painful. That's
very painful.
And then also, like, because of the size of it and everything, I'm like, that's going to be, like, a hell of an undertaking to get removed afterwards.
I mean, like, is it at least, like, a tasteful tattoo if you do get a chest tattoo? I'm not saying chest tattoos are tasteful, but some can be, I guess, you know, if you get the right one.
That design, I remember, like, part of it says, like, creeper, I think, across the stomach.
Nice. That's a great touch.
It's intense, and it is a thing.
Really
so
intense.
I saw it on a makeup artist board. They were talking about it. Because the joke was, he found out how long he was going to have to sit in makeup for every day and went, nah, fuck that. I'm just going to go get the actual tattoo. That's the joke. Because I will say, after seeing the tattoo design, it was a thing of like, that would be really, really, really intense and time-consuming to do correctly in makeup. Because since it's
wait, Roxy, isn't there like henna or like some sort of like temporary tattoo you can put on, right? Or no?
It does. So I recently did a film where the actor convinced me to let him do his tattoo method. It turned into a nightmare. Because
shit.
The problem with any of those things are like, they're going to last for so long. So the one that we did, when you first applied it, within 2 days, it would get darker and darker and darker. So because he was handling all of this, he'd applied it, and then the day before coming to set, so for the first 2 days, the shade of it kept getting darker. Yes. And then after a couple of days of filming, it would start to break up and get lighter and lighter and lighter. So it meant I was having to constantly go in and trying to correct it, try and redo it. And then at one of the designs, when it came back in, because we had to reapply, the design was not identical. Like, for some reason, like, the size of it had been different. So then there was a thing I was like, you can't.
So it just looks like a weird shape on someone's neck, in a way.
Like, I had to tell the director at one point, I was like, just so you know, you can't really shoot that side of his face anymore.
No.
Like, why? I was like, so here's a picture of how this tattoo was day one. Here it is now. There's an extra line, and also it's squared off corners instead of rounded off corners. It was a lesson in don't let the actor convince you to let them do something that involves the makeup. It was an important lesson to learn, but after that, it was definitely a thing. It was like, I'm never doing any sort of like henna-based, gonna last a week's tattoos, because they don't work. Like, the only effective method is really doing application that's at least every couple of days. Because there are certain tattoo methods out like 2 days before they're not usable.
Because I know, like, people like on like Sons of Anarchy had to be on that makeup station for a while, you know, like every couple of days to keep up with the tattoos, because most of them, if not all of them, didn't have any tattoos, but it's a biker gang filled with tattoos. So, yeah.
I think it was the character Jax.
Charlie Hunnam's character. Yeah, Hunnam. Yeah.
I believe it was him. He actually already had a back tattoo, but because his character has the full logo of the show pretty much as a back tattoo, they had to first go in, completely cover up his tattoo, then go in, do the actual show tattoo over it.
Yeah.
So every time he had to show his back,
that's nuts. That's right.
3+ hours in the chair just on the tattoo.
And
which is
that's
Shia Labeouf's tattoo. This was one of the jokes, is that everyone was talking about, like, oh, he didn't want to go through the process of having the tattoo applied every day. It's like, yeah, on any project after this, when he takes his shirt off, he's going to have to go through the process of having it covered.
Covering it up and then also applying that giant fucking tattoo. And you have to, well, I don't think we see his back often in the show, but often enough where, you know, you have to, like, be on the chair for a few hours. Have you done makeup that lasted that long? Like, that lasted more than an hour?
Yeah. Most, like, trying to think what's the longest makeup application I've done, because even like
probably Horror Nights too, right?
Well, no, so Horror Nights, everything's actually designed to be very, very quick,
right?
Because you don't have a lot of time.
For those of you who don't know, Roxanne works for Universal at the Halloween Horror Nights in Universal Studios. For those of you who don't know,
that's why it comes up frequently. Last year was my first year with them as part of the makeup team. It was an rad experience. So the first year you work it, if you're on the makeup team, you either get put on mask team or quicklime. I was put on quicklime. So quicklime is characters that the max amount of time you should have them in your chair is like 10-15 minutes.
Oh, so you're in and out. Okay.
Because most of the time it's a character that's going to have a mask on, and so you're just painting like their neck, their eye area, their hands, if that show.
Okay.
I did a lot of Frankenstein hands this year.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Now, the longer you're there, you can potentially move over to the sit-down makeup side of the room, which is where they're doing actual prosthetics and things like that. Even with they try and keep them, like, I think the longest ones would be about 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still kind of long, but I mean, there's been actors who've been on chairs for like hours. And I feel bad for the hair and makeup artists too, because they have to stand for hours.
Well, so I recently watched a talk by V. Neal, who is like the godmother of makeup. She did Beetlejuice. She was the department head on Hunger Games, on, I'm blanking on everything right now. Pirates of the Caribbean. She did like
so lots of high budget movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Edward Scissorhands, that was one of hers.
Ooh, hell yeah. Great makeup there.
Lost Boys, that was one of hers. Mrs. Doubtfire, that was one of hers. Like I said, she is like the godmother of makeup in the industry.
She's like the Rick Baker of like horror movies. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, she's one of the greats.
Yeah.
And watched a kind of like Zoom webinar thing that she did recently. And her thing is, she does not try and make any makeup application last more than 2.5 hours max.
Really?
That is her rule, because after that, she's like, the actor is cranky, your AD is cranky, everyone wants you to move faster. No one wants to sit in a chair having shit applied to their face for that long. So if you can keep it 2.5 hours or longer, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
That doesn't always work, but that's kind of her rule of thumb. And I think it is a really good rule unless you're doing like a true creature makeup.
Well, yeah, and in the case of a true creature makeup, one might assume you'd be prepared for the long, rigorous process of creating that makeup, because, you know, like going back to Rick Baker, I can only assume like something like werewolf, American Werewolf in London, like the amount of shit that you're going through there. Like I heard a podcast when he was on Joe Rogan, like he said he put like the guy, if for those of you who've seen it, for those of you who've seen the movie, if anyone remembers a scene where it's the movie theater and there's a zombie along with, it's like a flashback scene. So there's like a zombie in it along with the main character, who thus becomes a werewolf. And the zombie, just to create that, was about 6.5 hours. Was just 6.5 hours of just sitting in that chair. And Rick Baker was just like, now if somebody asks me to do a movie, I say fuck no. He's like, now I'm retired. He's like, now I do my own thing, because he's like, thinking about doing another feature and standing for longer than maybe 2.5 hours just sounds agonizing. And he was like, and plus, the actors don't want to sit there for longer than 2 hours. And he even said it himself. So for you saying that, like, fuck, that makes sense. Like, no one wants to be there for however God knows long.
No, and I mean, and most of the times now, like, the actors that are in that style of makeup are actors, that's 90% of what they do. To be a creature actor,
Right.
So much dedication, and you have to be, like, the most zen of people. Like, right. Doug Jones, he's one of, like, the best examples.
Oh, great example.
Great example. Like, he does.
Yeah. Oh, God. Why am I blanking on the Guillermo del Toro movie? Shape of Water.
Shape of Water. Guillermo del Toro.
Hellboy. Yeah.
Like, he's all those intense creature makeups. And that's what he's known for, is doing these creature characters. And it's partially because he has a great look for it. He has a great, like, body shape for doing a lot of that stuff. And he does the physicality so well. But also, he has no problem sitting there for that long. He's fine sitting there. You bring him his coffee, from what I understand. Yeah. He'll shoot the shit with you. He knows when he needs to do certain things. He also understands the physical restraints of doing those kind of characters.
And you have to be a Zen master. And also you have to be on target when you're acting as well. You have to be in character at all times. That's really hard. Yes. Such a good movie. Yeah.
He was literally in full character costume with, like, on stilts, walking backwards while speaking Spanish, a language he did not speak.
That's right. It is all in Spanish.
It's all in Spanish. He did not speak Spanish, and he was saying a monologue, walking backwards in stilts with all that stuff on him.
That man deserves all of the awards. Like, what the fuck?
And I think he's been nominated for an Oscar. I don't think he's ever won. Because unfortunately, the kinds of roles he does are not ones that people like to vote for awards.
Politics, movie industry. What can you do?
But yeah, so that's why, like, people like him, they get called back again and again and again. And then you have a lot of A-list celebrities that they'll do a prosthetic makeup character once, and they'll never do it again.
Right.
They don't want to go through that process, which completely makes sense.
Yeah, and the fact that you are sitting there for hours, like you said, you have to be a Zen master. You have to be at peace with yourself and not claustrophobic, and be okay in working in a tight space for X amount of hours. That's crazy. And also the hair and makeup artist too, who is probably applying it as well. It has to be the same for them. They can't be grumpy 3 hours in and they're like, let's fucking take forever. You know, I would. Me standing even more than like 2 or 3 hours, I get cranky, but you know, I'm standing longer than that on a film set either way. So, and I can't even afford to be cranky. So it is what it is.
Takes in at a certain point. Like working in production, and everyone that is watching this that probably, you know, there is that adrenaline that kicks in. It's the only reason we can go 12 hours a day, 6 days in a row, and still function, is that you
you're so right. It is adrenaline. Yeah.
Like being on a set, doing what you love, doing what you're good at, you get that kick in your system that keeps you going. It's why when you get home, you walk in, you have a glass of water, you sit on the couch, you pass out because your body's been running off of fumes and just like chemically like being like, here's another endorphin kick. Here's another shot of adrenaline.
You get that
you gave it
win.
Like that's how you work. But it makes it where once you kind of almost get used to that, you know, like, well, I can do this because my body's going to kick in and see me through to the end. And then going full circle to the beginning of our conversation, that is why you take power naps on set when you are able to.
Power naps. You always take them power naps. Well, that's the thing though, Roxy. You can sleep anywhere at any time. And that's a superpower not many people have, because I also have that superpower. I can sleep at anywhere at any time. Yeah, dude. It's that's a fantastic power to have. Like you can just sleep just like probably like leaning up against the wall and just, you know, pass out there.
Look, you just train your brain. Like Christine has said this to me multiple times, and it's always the funniest thing. She's like, you'll be dead asleep and I'll just say the word makeup and your eyes will shoot open.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You
paying attention?
Or the word rap, because you did wake up when rap was called. It's like, all right, guys, rap, and you literally woke up like you woke up from like a 3-year slumber, and you're just like, I'm ready. Put me in, coach. You know, like.
Oh my god. Yep.
That was a good time. That was a really good time. And power naps are the way to go, you guys. You know, you get them long hours. For those of you who've never worked in a film set before, you're working them long hours. You're standing all day. And then when you get that moment in between setups or in between shots or in between takes, whatever it is, you get like a brief moment. And it's like I don't know. I mean, you can probably better gauge it yourself, Roxy. How long is that? Like 10, 15, 20 minutes? And then you're immediately called?
Like there's, on some productions, when I've gotten like really close to like the production groups, I've like gone up to the team and like, hey guys, how long is this setup gonna take? Like 40 minutes. I'm like, perfect. I'm gonna take a 15-minute nap.
I only need 20 minutes with these guys. I'm good.
That gives me enough time. If makeup's already set, I take my 15-minute nap. Then I go in. I do a little 15-minute touch-up before they go to set. I go to set 10 minutes before we roll. I stand there, and I'm like, cool, makeup's all ready.
Right.
Let me know when you guys.
And guess who has a little extra pep in their step while everyone else is, you know, dragging their feet and shit, you know?
And here's the thing. I've had some people like try to give me crap about it. It's like, have you ever gone and walked over to the G&E truck? They have a hammock set up in there. Okay?
They're chilling. Yeah.
They know that they can also take the power naps. And they do. So I'm not alone in this. All production does is just on various levels of knowing it.
Because if once picture is up, if you're not the camera department, there's probably a good chance you're just standing around for a minute, you know? Or I'm sorry, if you're not camera or sound or production, you know, you're probably gonna be out and about, you know, or you're just gonna be taking a break, or people like to smoke cigarettes. The people, you know, they chain smoke them smokies, you know, and they go about their day. But Roxy just fucking, you know, she solved it. She did it. Take them power naps. You're going to get so much more energy in the end. Once that martini shot is coming in, you're already like firing on all cylinders, you know?
Oh, the only department that like I always feel, or the department I feel the worst for, is camera department, because they don't get the same.
No.
Like, God bless camera department, because they're holding the camera, they're setting up the shots, they're talking, like, they don't have like the break that every other department has at some point. Because before camera rolls, they're doing stuff. When camera rolls, they're doing stuff. Like, they don't have the same amount of downtime. So camera department, y'all are the real troopers that get overlooked.
Yeah. Camera and production department definitely are the constants of on a set, for sure.
There was one film I was on where I was friends with the DP, and there was one point, like, I just looked at her, I was like, you look really tired. She's like, I never got to eat today. I've been helping.
Oh, no.
And I just was like, I'll be back. And I came back and I had like an entire cup of fruit. And I was like, here's some fruit. Here's a fork. Hand it to your first AC when you're done with it. Because she just looked so and tired. Because it was a really lengthy production with like a lot going on. And especially it was the first couple of days. And she was working with a crew that she hadn't worked with before. So it was a thing where she was like, they're not used to how I need to be fed. And it's like, I've got you.
I got you. Yeah, dude. You've been taking care of everybody. Yeah, man.
I like, don't get me wrong, I want to work on big industry films. I want to work on blockbusters. Part of the fun of doing indie films is that you're working with the same people, you form your film families, and you take care of each other, and you have that camaraderie and that like reliance on one another.
And that's what people don't understand. A lot of times, like when you're doing a commercial, or like you said, a major motion picture shoot, you're that kind of, I don't know, that intimacy, I guess. It sounds dirtier than I meant it, but like on an indie film set, there's only like less than 50 people sometimes, you know, and you get to know each other pretty quickly, especially if it's a feature, you know. So the fact that, you know, you work on a high budget set, granted, you know, there's going to be so many people coming and going, you ain't going to remember shit. And your job on set is probably not going to be as big as, let's say, on an independent set, where you can make those creative decisions that you're not allowed to create on a commercial or on a high budget or high production set. You know, you can't make that decision. While, you know, on an indie shoot, granted, there's only so many things you could do on an indie shoot, but you could also get creative with it. You can get real fucking wild. And that's real fucking fun, especially when you're under pressure too. For those of you who never worked with Roxy, it's so great working with her, because when Roxy's the same way that Kellie is, in the fact that when you're put under that amount of pressure, you're gonna create fantastic things in a finite amount of time, more than I can account for anyone else. And let me tell you something. I worked with other hair and makeup people too, just like I worked with other art directors before, just like I worked with other set directors before. So some of those dummies don't even fucking know what they're doing. And by the way, they go to school, they had all this experience, yada, 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 you know, fucking commercials, Fear the Walking Dead, you know, they're great, awesome. But do you have the passion? Do you have that experience where you have 10 minutes and we're on the martini and you are running on fumes? What are you going to do? I can tell you what Roxy's going to do. I can tell you what Christine's going to do. I can tell you what Kellie's going to do. They're going to make some fucking magic. That's what's going to happen. And the fact that you guys can go at the last minute and just nail it and know that you can just finish and call it done, because you can half-ass it, but you don't. You never do. Neither does Kellie, neither does Christine. So when you guys do it, it's so much passionate, which I think doesn't love that.
The three of us, like, I don't know how many projects me, Kellie, and Christine have done together at this point. I have no idea. Because we've done features, we've done shorts, we've done commercials, we've done corporate shoots. Like, especially before I moved to LA from Austin, the three of us, it was a thing like, one of us would get a job, like, cool, I got this one. They don't have this position yet. Do you want it? Great. Right. Send your info. So, like, we really had each other's backs. And a lot of it was that we knew how each of us worked. And we could kind of almost like see ahead of time, like when something was going to be a problem for the other person, or when it's like, this is going to be something like, oh, this part of the script they're going to love. This is going to be their moment to shine. And we were really good at collaborating and letting each other have those moments and supporting each other. Because even like the number of times, like I've been doing a makeup thing and I haven't had enough support, and Kelly's walked over and she's like, Roxy, do you want me to hold this bag for you? It's like, fuck yes, please take this bag out.
Please.
Or she's been like trying to stick something on a wall and like, cool, do you need another piece of tape? Here you go. And it's just, and even with Christine, she'll come in and she's like, so I know I said it was going to be this, but actually, can we make this happen? Yeah, great. I know you can do it. Bye. And just disappears. And
you guys really know how to communicate and learn to work with each other. But you guys have this effective way of communicating where you guys barely say anything to each other at all. But you guys already know exactly what you guys are talking about. It's almost like a completely different language when you guys talk to each other sometimes. Because sometimes I'll see you or Kelly, and then it would just be like noises. It would just be like, and then it would just, or she'll be like, yeah, I'll help you out with that, and then you'll be good. And it's like, hang on, what happened? Like, what did she just say? You guys just are on each other's wavelength at all times, no matter what. And that is a gift in of itself, especially when you work with somebody. When you work with somebody, there's a good chance you ain't gonna work well with them. Or if you do work well with them, they're working on a completely different pace than you are. You guys work at each other's pace at all times. Whereas many others, they don't have any sense of fucking urgency for the goddamn life of them, or they're way too urgent to the point where it's just like, all right, you're just way too crazy. Like you're just either on crack or you're just like, you had like 35,000 cups of coffee. You can't handle yourself. You know, it could be either one of two ways, but you guys just played this like crazy role where you're willing to wear multiple hats, but you're totally fine doing it. And by the way, you show that you're totally fine doing it because there's a lot of pressure on you, Roxy, especially being hair and makeup. There is. Well, just as much as there's a lot of pressure for Kelly and Christine, there's a lot, but you guys still working. You guys still have fun with it. There's been so many sets where you probably worked on and I've worked on where no one's happy to fucking be there, you know, and it sucks. Like no one wants to be on those type of sets, but the sets where we work those long hours and sometimes we're just way too fucking sweaty to even look at each other, you know, are my fucking favorite days, Roxy. You know, they're rad. They're the best.
So recently, one of the things like I've told my husband a couple of times is like, you know how when I was on the show and I would come home and I would bitch and moan about everything that was wrong, everything that was terrible, how much I hated it, how, you know, I wasn't getting paid enough or they weren't treating me right. And he was like, yeah. I was like, I fucking miss it. Like in the moment, I get so upset sometimes and I'm so like over the moments. But then as soon as I'm around it anymore, I'm just like, oh God, I miss it. Remember that time that person like threw something against the wall because they were angry? That was a great day.
Good times. Yeah.
And I think the other thing, and this is like going back to me, Kelly and Christine, we've definitely had moments where we've gotten mad at each other. Like we love each other, we work together really well, but there's definitely been times where like one of us had like said something and been that moment's like, did you just snap at me? She did not. And then like
yeah.
So we were just both like hungry and tired, right? Okay, great, cool. And I think that's the thing is like remembering sometimes that when you're working in extreme circumstances, because filmmaking is an extreme circumstance. Let's make sure all the way that it's not normal working life. It's a weird trip. But remembering sometimes like, okay, people, you're hot and tired, they're hot and tired, tempers are gonna flare. You're gonna have those moments where you get under each other's skin. But in the best of scenarios, you guys are also a family. So you kind of treat it that same way.
You're all in it together. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good point. And the fact that like you worked with Christine and Kelly for X amount of sets too, there's a reason for that. It's not because, you know, well, they're giving me a job. It's like, no, you guys actually enjoy working with each other, you know, and you guys enjoy making movies together and making art together. And there's something beautiful and there's also something inspiring about that, because it kind of shows to me, and it shows to even a lot of people, that, yeah, if you have the right amount of resources and you work well with others and you can communicate, I think you can do it. I think it's possible. Like, it's definitely not in the realm of impossibility where, oh, I have to learn to work with this so-and-so person or that so-and-so person. If you enjoy working with somebody, why not work with them as much and as long as you possibly can? Because they probably appreciate you looking out for them for a job, just like how they would look out for me looking out for a job. So we always try to do our part. But yeah, you guys are definitely inspiring. The sister wives, as I like to call you guys.
That sounds about right. I want to argue. Also, we have like the sliding scale of like bullshit tolerance between the three of us.
Right. Yeah. Well, also you guys, but I mean, like, in fairness, you guys don't tolerate bullshit from no one, especially on the set. So if I even thought about like, there's been a few times where I would mess with Kelly, and Kelly was like, "Ooh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Oh my God, I'm sorry."
Oh my God, I know the face, and I know the I know the hand.
She was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" She'll do that to me. She's like, "You sure you want to do this?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I'm not sure."
Like, it's the one. I'm sorry, Kelly. You're gonna see this. You're gonna get so annoyed. It's the one hand on the hip, down at the side, but the hand like kind of flexed and just like,
No.
That's what it is.
I'm gonna get my ass kicked from Kelly. Yeah.
Oh,
you won't.
Either that or the next time I see her, she's gonna be like, "Hey, Roxy,
I got a bone to pick with you."
And we're like, "I'm sorry, I love you, Kelly." Tape.
So we've actually gone on for an hour and a half. So
did we answer like? I think we got through like 2 of your questions.
No, we actually got through a lot. Like, I want to talk about Universal. I want to talk about the drive-in. I want to talk about Wonder Woman. We talked about DC on HBO Max. What's the difference between HBO and HBO Max? Absolutely nothing. All that stuff. Yeah.
We didn't go through that many tangents then. Okay, great. I thought
that's the thing. It's like we always psych ourselves out, because every time I come back to edit some of this shit, I'm like, I went all over the place. And then I surprise myself. I'm like, oh, wow, it's still on topic. It's like, I need to trust myself to let the interview do its job, or the podcast, I should say, do its job, rather than me trying to force, like, so, Roxy, in your opinion, what did you think about the Democratic Senate? Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, right. With the thumb, the people, we, the people.
I started recently watching, oh God, what's it? It's a law show. One of the main characters, his name is Denny Crane.
Law and Order.
No, it's not Law and Order. Boston Legal.
Okay, never seen it.
Really funny show.
Okay.
It's a spin-off of like another law show. The other one was like the serious one. This was the funny one.
Okay.
It has Shatner as one of the lead characters, playing a lawyer that. Yes, and he has like beginnings of like Alzheimer's and stuff, and like he's always walking around like, I've got the mad cow disease. My brain doesn't work quite right.
The mad cow.
But one of the things I noticed is like all the asshole lawyers, when they're trying to make a point, it's always that. Like, I believe that you, the jury, should do this. And it's always
that thumb. It's always the thumb,
It's so silly, so that's become the thing. As soon as someone does that, I'm just like, nope.
I also don't like finger pointing either. When somebody like fucking like wags their finger at me and shit, I'm like, okay, it's a little standoffish. But yeah, I think like if somebody does that to me, like, That's
It's
even.
not a hand motion.
It's not. It's not.
So
You know.
thing.
Yeah.
I feel like
That's
it's that
not a way to point.
yeah, they want
Exactly.
to, oh, that's too aggressive. So if I just go, that's less
Right.
aggressive. But it still
Yeah,
gets like this
because
point.
this is dictatorish. Dictate. You know. This is people. It's a smaller. Yeah. It's a more progressive. It's like a passive point.
It's
You
gonna be
know.
great. If like anyone listens to this without the actual footage, they're just gonna be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Because they can't see
we're talking about political cadences and how you're supposed to present yourself, which is, I don't know. Like, I feel like if we turn into a political show, that's when shit just goes downhill. You know what I mean?
That's what the first 40 minutes were before we got filming. So
now you can argue it because we did have a Black Lives Matters episode from our podcast. So but I mean, if you take that as politics, I take that as social justice. I think that's just a common thing that we all know and appreciate and understand, and we all are trying to grow and appreciate and understand.
I think it's even whether you were for it or against it, which one opinion right now of like which side of that you should be on, but you can't deny that something that was going on in our culture, in our world, that you would to do a show and not address it would almost be so like weird to not, whether you're for it or against it, because it's such
it feels irresponsible.
Yeah,
it's definitely irresponsible, and and like Christine and I, it was a no-brainer. Like, we both like synced up immediately, like after the whole thing happened, and it was like Thursday night, and Christine was like, "Hey, like, we're gonna do this," and I'm like, "Yeah, like, that's a no-brainer."
Especially because industry, like, because I think like the people that you kind of have to think of as being like the true like driving force of creation is your writers, directors, your producers. Like, don't get me wrong, I create, but I create within the structure that those people set out. So the fact that within those kind of three main areas you don't have a lot of representation is very, very telling and very problematic. Like, I think for a lot of us, off the top of your head, you can maybe think of 2 or 3 Black directors, but you could probably think of at least twice as many white directors.
At least, yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like, why is that the case? Like, and we all know there's many more Black filmmakers out there that are extremely talented, probably more talented than probably most of Hollywood, but at the same time, a lot of these independent directors, and even let's take Christine. Like, I mean, there's still plenty of people who haven't seen her work, which I feel like everyone should see her work, because her stuff it's not only emotional, but it's also human in a way that we all can relate. Everyone, it's very universal, and her stuff is very poignant and in a narrative in terms of what we're dealing with in social justice. From Albee to Shakespeare on the Range, like she's covered her basis on how we are as humans and how we should survive in humanity. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot to that. I don't know what happened. We blacked out for a second.
I got a phone call. So I'm doing this on my iPad. And so I got a phone call. It was like, meh.
Oh, okay. We should probably wrap it up, because you probably got some shit to do, huh?
Oh, yeah. Let me see. What time is it? It's 2:00. So that means I need to move from my living room couch to my bedroom and start watching Netflix in my bedroom as opposed to my living room.
Listen, Roxy, it's a full schedule, okay? Like, you gotta understand. Like, you're busy. I'm busy, because I'm gonna be, closing down this window to then, finish writing, because I need to end my fucking script, because I can't develop an ending for the life of me, because ending things is never my strong suit. That's why I can never end relationships.
Wow, we just went there.
We did. It's truthful though, you know. It's truthful, and it's one of those things that's like, what are you afraid of, Adam? And it's truly it's nothing. But in all reality, it's everything.
Fair.
It seems like it's not a worry, but for some reason, if I end something, it means it's gone forever, which doesn't necessarily mean it's gone forever.
So dramatic.
That's just, I know, but that's just how my brain sometimes works, and then I have to remind myself, which, by the way, marijuana helps. It helps because keeps you in check, keeps you humble, keeps you awake at night thinking, am I doing enough as a human being? I don't know. But I do know this. I'm going to make some pancakes and drink a gallon of Coca-Cola and watch Watchmen, play some video games, and then really consider about the human race.
This is, logical thought process at like 2 a.m. Perfect.
But Roxy Munchies first. You know what I mean? Like,
priorities.
You get it. Roxy, was there anything you want to bring up or say before we take this bad boy for a landing?
Stay classy. That's all I got.
Stay classy, dudes and dudettes. You stay classy. And don't go too sassy. Okay?
Can you go too sassy?
There's some occasions you can go too sassy. Too sassy goes into the line of grumpy, though, right? I think.
That's
like if you're just too sassy.
Sassafras.
What'd you say?
I like to keep it in the world of sassafras.
Ooh, sassafras. That's the mentality you have to be in at all times, is that sassafras. You take no shit from no one because you is an independent woman.
There are a number of times like someone said something, I'm just like, I'm going, oh, the sassafras. And it just completely shuts them down because they don't know how to respond to sassafras.
Yeah. Or some people, like, I've had my sister does this all the time. She's like, if I say something snarky, she's like, the disrespect. She's like, the disrespect. She's like, I'm older than you. I can beat the shit out of you. You realize that, right? I'm like, yeah, but you're like 1,000 miles away. She was like, I know where you live in Austin, bitch. Like, I can come to your doorstep at any moment. And I'm like, fair enough.
Valid point.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. I thought we had questions, but I guess we don't. So yeah, Roxy. We done it. This is the Get Reelisms podcast. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We've actually had quite a few people on watching this. Not really interacting with us, but there's some spectators,
Look,
we
need to ask us questions because they know, like, fuck, if we ask them a question, this is going to be another hour. For everyone's sake, don't ask a question.
We know these motherfuckers are going to be here for another 3 hours. Like.
It was like, legitimately, when you were like, we've been talking for a while. I was like, no, we haven't. It was like, oh, no, we've been talking for a while. I'm bad. I think if we took anything away from this is that you can hire Roxy or me to be filibusters. we can talk our little tookuses off. We'd be so good as that. Can I get paid for that job? If so, I want that job.
It's called having a podcast. You can get paid for having a podcast. You just have to talk and shit, We just need fucking sponsors and stuff, If anybody wants to sponsor us,
send us the money.
Christine Chen up or Adam Chase Rennie up, and we'll give you the goods.
Wait.
All right, Facebook. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, we'll have Christine. I think she's still filming. For a while. Hopefully we'll get another episode with her soon. Last week we had her and her second AD on the podcast, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in, and thank you, Roxy, for tagging along with us, or at least I should say. Yeah. All right,
Gave me
Facebook.
put on a clean shirt. It was nice.
Listen, I took a shower, put on a clean shirt, you know, cleaned my glasses, brushed my teeth even. So you don't have to smell my nasty ass virtual breath, Roxy, you know?
I appreciate that so much.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just trying to be a gentleman. Well, thank you again, Roxy. I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Of course. This was awesome. This is really fun, legitimately.
It was, right? I enjoy doing this, but Christine would definitely yell at me not giving the intro from the top of the show. But hey, I still gave an intro. You can't tell me I didn't. So
I will take partial credit for you not doing it sooner because we chatted.
We just chatted, you know, and you know, it's like a friend who I haven't seen in a while, and just all you want to do is just catch up. You're just like, oh, there's so much to talk about. Where do I begin?
Oh man, there was something like towards the end. I'm trying to remember. Like had a thought, and I was like, no, if I go into this thought, we're gonna be here for like another 2 hours. So like held it back, but fuck, I can't remember what it was.
Was it about like hair and makeup, or was it about the industry, or?
I can't remember for the life of me now.
You'll probably, yeah.
I'm gonna go back.
You can just FaceTime me at any point and just be like, I remember. Hit record. Get the podcast back up.
I had a thought.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, Roxy, we're done streaming on the Facebooks. So thank you again. And yeah, so in the next, I want to say a few minutes, once the video is all done, you know, streaming and stuff, you'll be able to repost it on your feed and stuff. So
right on.
Yeah, you can show it to your friends, and I can show it to my 23 friends, and you know. And then Christine can show it to her 17,000 friends.
There we go, and they can just see us making fools of ourselves. It'll be great.
Where's Christine? Who are these people? Yeah.
We're inside. Who are these clowns? What?
Come on, give me a break. Fucking, I thought Christine was gonna call in because she did text me once. She was like, "Hey, like I might be able to call in while you're talking to Roxy." And I was like, "Okay," and I messaged her again. And I was like, "Are you gonna call in?" And she was like, "Adam, I'm on set." And I'm like, "But you just said you wanted to." I think she's in work, Christine. Work, Christine doesn't remember yesterday, Christine. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, yesterday, Christine was yesterday, Christine. That's a part of the past, you know? So she doesn't remember any of that shit. Yeah.
That's why, like, there's been times, like, we've all snapped at each other, and it's usually when we're in that work mode of just like, no, this was not a thing,
No. Yes. Especially, well, I mean, I don't necessarily ever cross Christine, but man, when you're trying to talk to her over surveillance, like over a fucking walkie, it is a goddamn crisis. It is a crisis. She sounds like she swallowed her microphone and screaming at the top of her lungs. You know what I mean? It's like, Christine, I didn't understand a word. And then she would not only slow down, but she would enunciate her words and scream them. And I'm like, Christine, you need to go louder. You're already loud. I didn't tell you to go louder.
Just gotta slow it down.
I need to slow it down. You're talking so fast. My big ears can't pick it up, you know? Like,
this is why, as soon as I cannot have a walkie, like when they're like, oh, we're low on walkies, I'm like, I don't need one. Take it. I hate them. I
remember that it was in Shreveport when we worked together. You were. I was like, hey Roxy, you want a walkie? And you didn't even let me finish the sentence. You were like, nope. You're like, nope, good. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. I guess walkies are a sore subject for.
I have a list of reasons why I don't like walkies. Number one, they hurt my ears.
Yeah, they hurt my ears too.
They're painful, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I get tangled up in the cord when I'm working.
Well, I was gonna say, while you're working, like, I can only assume it's so hard and your hair gets caught in it, and you know, that's just a fucking nightmare. Walkies are a nightmare.
And then, like, there was one set where they were like, no, we need to be on walkie. I was like, fine, I'll be on walkie. But the second AD was a gem of a human being. And I basically sometimes Lynn was like, I'm going off walkie. And, like, there was one time he was like, what happened was, okay, so we had shot a scene.
They were, like, screaming over the walkie for you and shit.
Well, no, so this one was we had shot a scene and had gone on to the next scene. And in the middle of the next scene, they suddenly realized, fuck, she didn't have her wedding ring on. And it was a close-up shot of the lead actress in a moment where she should have had the ring on. And at one point, she's like, has her hand against her face. So it's like super clear. The ring is on.
Right.
And it's like writing this emotional letter to herself, like before she's broken up with her fiance.
Gotcha.
So the ring not being there is a problem. We'd already gone on to the next scene. So we then had to go back to film that first scene.
Wait, on the same day? Or did you have to... Holy shit.
Because it was our last day at that location.
Oh, no. Fuck, of course. Of all days, it's the last day.
So the second AD came up to me, he's like, okay. Like, luckily between those two scenes, there was no makeup change. But the scene out of that one, there was a makeup change. So he came up and he's like, we're kind of fucked our day by having to go back and refilm that scene. It's like, so the quicker you can get her through the works, the better it's gonna be, because we don't have any time. And I was like, okay, under 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I can knock this out under 12 minutes. And like the moment she walked in the room.
And the fact that you can gauge the time, Roxy, says everything. Right? Like, because you could have said, like, I need, like, at least half an hour, you know? And the AD doesn't want to hear that. They're going to be like, are you fucking kidding me? No, we don't even have, like, 20 minutes, let alone 30 minutes, you know? So for you to gauge it and understand what your strengths are and how fast you can work, that's dope. Sometimes I shoot myself in the foot and I'll say, yeah, you me set dress this fucking piece, it'll take me like fucking 15 minutes, I'll be good. And then 30 minutes later it's like, so Adam, are you done? And I'm just like, yeah, like five more minutes.
Always 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. That's it.
The moment the actress walked in, I looked at her, I was like, okay, we're doing this fast and furious, sit down, you don't get to talk.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, great. And like she sat down and she was quiet, and then like I looked at the AD, I was like, I'm off walkie, and like ripped it and like threw it against the wall and just like
like she's allergic to it.
And he knew after a while. It's like, anytime Roxy suddenly is gonna have to do like Fast and Furious is what I always called it. He was like, walkie's gonna be gone. Don't expect to get over.
I would be too. Like, I'm pretty sure I have a mild form of ADHD. Like, I would need 100% of my focus to be that, you know? Like, if I start hearing shit in my ear, I stop what I'm doing, you stop. Yeah, it's not going to work.
It's like,
especially
laser.
You have to work in like 12 fucking minutes, and they're like, yeah, we're going to shoot this like right now, you know? Like,
best thing was with that one is, so I did the entire makeup application, and the second AD was standing there watching me the whole time, like timing me. He was one of my buddies, so it's like the only reason to get away with that. Because he also knew like the moment she was done, he was going to have to grab her and pull her. So did the makeup application. He grabs her, pulls her.
I feel like any other AD though, Roxy, you would be like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
the few that could do it.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I went up to him and was like, how'd I do? And he just like started shaking his head, and I was like, fuck, I went over. Fuck, it was 15 minutes, wasn't it? God damn it. And he just suddenly went, Roxy, you did it in 10 minutes. I was like,
you have that innate ability to psych yourself out at any point. It's like, fuck, I took 20 minutes. Like, you actually did it in 2. It's like, yeah, fuck.
Like I said, number one, you're right. He's like one of the few ADs that I would like tolerate standing there, like waiting like that.
Because I mean, I know, because I know you and I know Kelly and I know Christine, and the fact that like if there's any quote unquote authoritative figure on a set, which is ideally an AD, to say like, oh yeah, Roxy, I'm gonna stand here, stare at you, and you have about like 10 minutes to do this. Like, you can go fuck yourself. Like, any other AD who you do not know working with, fuck them. Like,
That's
the
what
fact
I
that
like.
they have to breathe down your neck is stupid, you know?
I like it when I get to work with ADs that I have a relationship with.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I can be a little snarky and sassy. I'm very sarcastic.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like your level of sass is not like a level of sass that is, because you know when you're working, right? Like, when you're working, you're working. And the sass that you do bring out is actually realistic sass. It's not like sass that is just like, it's too high, you know, or some bullshit where it's just like, oh, I can't, you know, do this because I needed this or that. You just work around it wherever you are. You could be in a broom closet and you're like, it'll work, and then you just do it.
A flashback to En route.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you and I were in a closet.
I can't believe that's definitely one of those moments I
That
look
was
back
your hair and makeup was in a fucking closet, dude. Like, that's how real it was, you know?
when I think back to that day, I'm like, that was all kinds of what the fuckness. How did we pull that off?
Yeah, it was. But man, it was still, I don't know, it was still a lot of fun. And like, you were still even like, but I was bummed that you were going to be gone. Like, when you were leaving the next day to go to the next set, and it was the last day and we were all like fucking hammered as shit. Well, you were, Dino was, Dino went fucking hard, dude. That was, I remember that. I couldn't believe it. And that was the first time I ever made out with a dude. That was crazy.
So I nearly, like, I would have had to have left this Wednesday. I nearly went back to Texas to go work on a project with Dino this week.
Really?
He asked me to work on a film that he's going to be shooting, like, I think tomorrow is today would have been the first day.
Oh yeah, he texted me too, but I actually don't have a car right now because it got involved in a collision. So yeah, I currently don't have a car, but I'm also unemployed, and I hadn't had to work at all. And I told Dino, I'm like, what would you need me to do? And he was like, oh, I would have you be a PA. And I'm like, okay, couple of things. One, if I was going to be a PA, how much are you going to pay me? He was like, I mean, anywhere from like 80 to 100. And I'm like, okay. Even if I did have a car, Dino, I'm sorry. Like, I probably wouldn't have taken it. Like, no offense, but I'm doing set dressing jobs for that money. I don't want to do PA jobs for that money. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
like, my rate for set dressing is 100 to 150 per day, which is apparently not much. And even Kelly was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
You would have been getting paid more than me on that film.
huh?
You were going to get paid more than I was. So
shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? Like, you being hair and makeup?
His thing was,
are you fucking kidding me?
He was going to pay for my travel costs to get out there and back, and then all my supplies.
And that's it. Wow. That's nuts.
It is. I miss working so much that I was considering doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, I miss working too, but I don't miss being a PA either. Like, being a PA is just like, I told them, like, listen, if it's an art PA, like, if you want me to be an art PA, that's one thing. I'm there. I can be there. But I have expertise in set dressing. I can do it, but I just, being a PA, I just, like, I've done it. I've done the PA gigs, and
Yeah.
I've done countless commercials doing PA gigs. I'm good. Like, I think I'm good. And he was definitely very adamant, and I was like, I'm sorry, man, I can't. And I don't know if I really bummed him out because he didn't text me back, because I texted him again asking him, like, about some bullshit. Like, we talk about baseball all the time too, and I talked about baseball with him and he didn't respond to me, so I feel a little hurt. Like, I feel a little, like, anxious. I'm just like, great, I don't think he likes me anymore.
No, I have a feeling he got a lot of no's all at once.
So he's just like, he's done talking to everybody probably.
I mean, my thing was initially I was like, I want to do it. I'm interested in doing it. Give me a couple days about it. And then I started looking up how bad Austin was doing with coronavirus.
We're not doing good. Yeah, we're not doing good.
So that was when I was like, dude, I'm sorry. After seeing how bad the numbers are, and I was like, the other thing was the cast and crew weren't going to be totally quarantined.
No, and by the way, you would be flying, so that means you would have been quarantined too, right?
I was going to drive. I refuse to fly right now. So I was going to road trip it.
That's oh man, Roxy, I taken that trip to fucking from LA to Texas. That's a trip, dude.
I was doing that trip for like 2 years. Like I probably made that drive like 8 times.
Are you fucking shitting me? You
No.
drove back and forth from Texas to California?
Because I was
God.
in Texas, but I was getting jobs in LA, and it was before I moved out here. So I made that drive probably like 8 or 9 times.
So no wonder after 2 years you're like, fuck, like let me just move here. Fuck that shit. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Before I moved, I spent like 75% of the year in LA.
Wow.
Because I was on a really good run where I was working with a production company doing Lifetime movies. Then I got in with a couple of like YouTube groups. And like there was one point I'd worked a film in, I think it was September. No, it was in October I worked a film. And then I knew I had a film back in LA in December. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to go back home for a month. I'm going to fly back to Texas, leave my car in LA, because I'm not going to really need my car that much for this month. While I was in line for the airport to go through security, I got a phone call like, hey, we're going to start a film or a web series in 2 weeks. Do you want to do the makeup?
What the fuck? And you were standing in line ready to board an airplane. That's crazy.
I took the job. It was that thing where like I went home for like
of course. 5
again. And that was the moment I was like, I need to not be living in Texas anymore.
That makes sense. Yeah, I've always wondered why you made the move in the I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I didn't know that you were traveling back and forth for 2 years beforehand. That must have the amount of fucking miles you must put in on the car and your
legit.
Because I went to 2 different hotel rooms from driving from Oakland, California to here to Austin. I stayed 2 nights in a hotel. So were you driving through the entire way and you just slept in your car for a couple hours?
I did that one time.
Fuck, dude, wow.
The other time I would just do it one halfway point and break it into 2 days, but one night. And the first few times I had someone with me, and then after that I was doing it solo.
And doing it solo is even scarier because at least someone there, they're going to talk your ear off, or there's another human being you were responsible for while you're driving. Yeah, that's rough. What's that?
That was when I started listening to podcasts.
Yes, that's a really good, because I think that's how we all started listening to podcasts. It's just the amount of commute and the amount of fucking driving alone with our thoughts for more than an hour for me sounds like a nightmare. Like
I don't listen to podcasts very much right now because I'm not going anywhere.
Neither am I.
That was in traffic. I'd put on a podcast. It was all good.
And I feel weird if I play podcasts while I'm working. I play music while I'm working usually. So to play like Joe Rogan and I'm trying to work and it doesn't work. So yeah, I haven't listened to podcasts either in so long. I know Kevin Smith had so many fucking episodes of Batman Beyond and Babylon and stuff. So I think I'm going to take a day where I just catch up on podcasts, where I just take a cleaning day and I just zone out with headphones and just fucking go to town.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you going to be up to though for the next rest of the quarantine?
Fuck if I know.
Fuck if I know too, man. Like it's scary. Every day is just fucking scary, you know? Like it's just every time I'm thinking like, well, you know, I'm that much closer and somebody's gonna be texting me, be like, hey man, like I got a job for you, you know? But then I start going down the rabbit hole in my head where I'm like, no one is gonna want to fucking hire me. Like I'm screwed. And then of course I call up Kellie, you know, because I'm freaking out. And I'm like, Kellie, I'm pretty sure I'm never going to work again in the film industry. She was like, go fuck yourself. You are. Like, she's like, as long as you're going to be with me, you're going to be working. And she was like, listen, she's like, if it makes you feel any better, I haven't been working on any fucking sets at all. So she's like, if you think you're panicking as well, think about it in my shoes. She's like, I've been doing production designing stuff. She's like, you ain't got shit to worry about. You still live with your mom. like, all right. Good point. She always puts me back down to reality. She's just like, listen.
Like, our industry's not going away. That's the thing at the end. It's gonna jump back, and with any luck, when it jumps back, it's gonna come back like so intense that we're gonna not be able to know what to do with ourselves.
Do you think it's gonna be tougher making a movie now?
I think it was
like getting anything shot.
I think it's going to be kind of difficult. Here, sorry, 1 second. I have to pee so badly, but I do want to have this conversation.
Yeah, go for it.